everyone, and welcome to Spiritual Guidance for Daily Living. My name is Carolyn McGee, and I am so thrilled to have a very special guest with me today, Jen Piceno, and you will hear about her in just a couple of minutes. As always, I like to start with gathering the energy for us. So if it's safe for you, close your eyes. Put your feet on the ground, open up your body, and just imagine we're in a circle because we are all connected by energy. But let's make it a little bit more concrete. You know, we've got all these beautiful technologies. We've got Zoom, we've got cell phones, we've got texting, we've got Messenger and Facebook and Instagram and all these other ways to be connected, but we sometimes forget about our energy connection. And so I want you to, in your mind's eye, reach out your hand to the energy, to the person, the spirit on your right, and feel the energy fill your hand, the connectedness for the people who are watching this recording, who are here with us now as we record. And then put your hand out to the left and feel the energy fill there too, the connection. And as you do that, and as each one of us connects energetically, spirit to spirit, soul to soul, feel the energy pulse through your hands. Get a little bit curious about it. Does it feel inviting? Is it a little bit scary that you can actually feel the energetic connection of our group? There's no right, there's no wrong. It's just information. Let's just sit in our virtual circle here and feel the love and feel the connection and feel the curiosity, the support. And know that this is available to us in each moment, that we can just this quickly connect in with the loving support of friends, family, people who are in spirit, and our spirit guides. And now with your next deep breath, let go of your hands, bring them up to your heart, pulling in that beautiful energy into your heart. Take another breath in and out, and bring your awareness back to our circle. Thank you. All right, Jen, so tell everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do for the world.
So I am Jen Piceno, and I change lives. And the way that I like to work with people is by taking chaos and bringing it into calm, whatever that may be, and integrating all the different pieces and segments of life, where people are trying to wear all these different hats throughout their door. I'm the daughter, I'm the sister, I'm the brother, I'm the employee, and integrating it as the whole, so that we don't feel pulled in all the different directions. So really bringing balance and peace into everyday life and magic into the mundane.
That is so beautiful. Great. And one of the ways that you do that is through what you call sacred medicine.
Yes.
And yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, sacred medicine to me is when we've taken what used to be our challenges, our trauma, our frustrations, and we grind it up and put it into this amazing self-healing. And through our own healing, we take that out and we present it to the world, our communities, our family, our friends. And to me, that's it at its simplest core. You'll be writing for Sacred Medicine, so I'm really excited about that. That book will be coming out soon. But everybody has their own version of medicine because we are as unique as our fingerprints. And so are our challenges and hardships that we have pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. We kept on going, but sometimes there's some stuff there that still needs to be healed.
Yeah, there's a lot of things, and I've learned along the way that especially those of us that are healers, and I've seen it in people who don't count themselves as healers, that we often have to go through what we're here to teach. I have a friend who is working with people with infertility, and she went through infertility. Now, she doesn't consider herself to be a traditional healer, but she is in a supportive role helping other people understand the challenges for that. And it's so beautiful to see people taking their own lessons and really, like you said, you got to go through whatever it is so that you can bring it out into the world and have other people just make their life just a little bit easier than ours was, right?
Right. And to bring that flow in and knowing, I think it's so important that we come together in connection to know we're not alone. And I can resonate with the fertility piece because that's part of why I am where I am, was through 10 years of infertility. And you feel broken and you feel alone, and it's stuff that you don't talk about in everyday conversation. But soon as I opened that conversation up, I realized how many other women have suffered miscarriage, how many other women were struggling to get pregnant. And it's not as easy as we think it's supposed to be, right? We think it just, you try and it happens. Bringing that connectedness back into our communities. And to me, a lot of it's like the old grandmother wisdom that has been lost, that we used to teach through sacred storytelling.
Right.
And now people just hold everything. We hold it because of shame. We hold it because of embarrassment, whatever the case may be, or to stay very private. But when we're vulnerable, that's where the strength comes out. And that's when we really start making an impact in the lives around us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I found that through my journey of growing up as a child of an alcoholic. Nobody talked about it. I mean, it was pretty obvious, as you know, and as a child, I was curious. I'm like, why is dad gone? And, what's wrong with dad? But there was always a story that didn't match the energy. And I could sense into, my mother and aunts, uncles, etc. with, they were holding back something, and it made me doubt myself. And that was part of my journey, of course, was going from doubting myself into trusting my intuition so that I could help other people to trust their intuition. But that journey of, really the shame of it, and that you can't bring it out into the open because it's not safe. Thank God the world has changed, and there's a lot more support for families that have, drug addiction or alcohol addiction problems. But, it's so damaging to the sanctity of a family when somebody goes through that.
Yes, and so many children battle with that because kids feel everything.
Yeah.
They know when we're trying to hide. We can paint a smile on our lips all day long, but the kids know. They know when something's off. And it sounds like you experienced that yourself, and that was part of my journey as well. Like being able to bring that out, being able to talk to people openly makes all the difference in the world.
Yep. Yeah, it does. And I know I went through a very difficult divorce, partly because I couldn't sense what was good for me and what wasn't good for me. Again, part of my journey, it's all good. But going through that process with my children, I had to be really careful of my anger and letting them know that I was angry, but not at them. And that, and that their dad wasn't a bad person. It's just he and I didn't see things in the same manner because I didn't want to repeat the patterns. And, as a parent, sometimes it's really hard to do that.
It is, isn't it? They don't come with instruction manuals, and neither do we.
Exactly.
But the one beautiful thing that I've learned as a mother, my son's almost 9 now, is that we go deeper in our own healing with every age and phase that they go through. Like they
Yeah.
are, I believe they are spiritual teachers. I've learned so much from him and his struggles, and then me learning how to go through it with him, for him, but also looking at my own stuff at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are such beautiful teachers. And, I believe our animal companions are fabulous teachers too, with, being present and, helping us. I currently have a cat who's got severe anemia, and he has almost passed a couple of times. Now, I'm an animal communicator, so I know what he wants, and he says he wants to pass on his own terms at his own time. He does not want any assistance. So for me, that's been letting go. And that's a real big part of this parenting, working with family dynamics. I think sometimes even starting a business, right? It's letting go, letting God, and trusting the information that comes all the way around us in every moment.
And it's the hardest part of this is the trust, because so often we betray ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We're getting the information all day long. Spirit is always communicating with us, but we don't always listen.
Or if we,
Negotiating.
right, right, negotiating. That's so fun. It's. I mean, I laugh now because I'm like, you cannot negotiate with angels.
But I have tried many times. I never win, but I have tried multiple times. So
I know. I have.
yourself in trusting the process. And part of trusting the process is, to, like you said, trusting your own intuition, trusting yourself, trusting that next step. And for me, the easiest part of that is just taking that information one step at a time instead of having to have it all figured out, which really does release the stress from your shoulders. Just what's my next best step? And then what's the next step after that? And that is so much easier. It puts you in a state of flow instead of having to have the next 5 years planned out.
Yeah, and it's great to have like a vision of where you want to go, as long as you're not so locked into that vision that you can't follow that next right step, or trust that maybe it looks like you're taking a left turn, but it's actually a shortcut.
That's right. And the reason I say that, the next step, yes, I always have my bigger vision. But what I've learned through my own journey is sometimes my bigger vision was actually limiting myself. So there's a bigger vision in store for me if I would just listen.
Yeah,
Usually their way is the easiest way.
absolutely.
Following the guides, their way is the shortcut. We tend to go the wrong, harder way.
Oh yeah, absolutely agree with you on that. Now, when you and I were chatting previously, you talked about ceremony as a way to solidify or help or become more present. You know, one of the things that I've noticed for me is I can get a lot in my head. You know, I'm highly logical and analytical. I've got an engineering management degree. I've spent years in corporate, and I can get kind of locked into figuring it out versus that allowing it. And then sometimes I can get into the, you know, the spirit tells me, but I can't process it because I'm not fully embodied. So, you know, tell the people about some of your tips for, you know, anchoring yourself in kind of easy and within your normal day versus, you know, you need to take out an hour of time.
Right. So this is a lifestyle for me. So being my spiritual self and also being a mom with a business and a husband, I started developing ways that were almost like survival skills. And then it really opened me up and expanded me in all levels of my life and helped me integrate spirit into everyday moments. So what I do is I anchor intentions to everyday mundane tasks, things I am not going to skip. You're not going to see me without my red lipstick. I'm not going to miss a cup of coffee. I'm going to brush my teeth, take a shower, all of these things that we do every single day. Those are the things that I'm really making intentional. So if I'm going to drink something, I'm going to drink in what I want for myself and what I want for my life. I might be drinking in courage that day, or to speak my truth with confidence, or whatever that may be. And then every sip now becomes a sacred sip. Instead of me rubbing my eyes, going to the coffee like a head on a stick and just going through the motions, I'm making things very deliberate. And those things all anchor, getting me closer to whatever that bigger vision is.
Now, do you set that intention each morning? So like with the first sip of your coffee, today's version of my coffee is...
Yeah, sometimes it's the same thing multiple days in a row, and sometimes it's not. You have to be able to pivot. So I think so much of our spiritual journey that we need to drop out of our humanness and into our spiritual divine selves is to not be so rigid, to be able to be flexible. And that is where you go into the head space. And we all do that. We're human. We go up into this heady, brainy space. But if we can drop that down into heart and into our energetic center, then I think we become more in the mode of ease, flow, and grace, because that is our divine self. When we go up here, we make things a little bit harder. That's where we talk self-sabotaging, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. All of those things trigger up here. Those things will never trigger from our heart space or our divine essence, our truth. So yes, I'm constantly pivoting. Sometimes it's about motherhood when I'm fixing it. Please give me patience today. Other times, it may be about my relationship, about something in my marriage, something for finances, something I'm manifesting. But I'm anchoring those energies in my everyday moments, which makes life everyday ceremony. So I'm busy. I don't have time to sit and meditate for an hour or 2 hours. And that's not my style. My head would go up into headspace. So I'm doing it all day long. If I'm washing dishes, I'm washing away the stress of my day. If I'm mopping my floors, I'm cleansing and clearing my energy, right? I play with it. I make it playful and fun, and that makes life a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know one of the ways that I learned how to meditate, because as I mentioned, I've got a very, very busy brain, was when I was out walking dogs. I own a dog walking company, and I found as I was doing this repeat activity in a safe neighborhood with, the environment that I was comfortable with, I could connect in and receive the information that my brain had been blocking in the past because it was too busy trying to figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was so fun and so easy. And I loved my job anyway, but to add in that spiritual aspect of it just made it so much richer.
Yes, and that's how I feel about what I do. These simple little practices makes life a spiritual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to carve out something 1 hour a week or 30 minutes a day, I make life that. So it's living meditation. I'm always connecting and trying to stay true to myself, my wants, my needs, my desires, my intentions.
Yeah, and that's so powerful because, I think a lot of us have grown up with rules and regulations, and there's society's rules, there's family norms that you are supposed to follow to fit in, and then there's of course religion, there's school, there's the laws of the land, there's all of these rules that you can really feel oppressive. And for me, in case this helps somebody else, when I was learning to meditate, I was taught a set of rules. Yeah. And I'm like, it's one more thing that I have process that I have to follow. And it was hard for me. It didn't work. I couldn't sit in the chair in the same corner, with the same candle lit, at the same time every day. I rebelled against it. It was really, really hard for me.
You and me are cut from the same cloth, because when I was first taught, I thought, I can't do this. My head would not stay for even 20 seconds into the space. So I thought I couldn't do it, or I wasn't good at it, right? So to your listeners, what I would say is be a sacred rebel. Find your own way. Do what works for you. Learn from teachers. Teachers will show up in the right moment. But that doesn't mean that you need to stick with it in the order they teach it. You take what you want, take what works for you, and leave the rest. And you might revisit it later, and that's okay. But you have to do what works for you. Otherwise, it's not going to get done anyways. If
Absolutely.
it's too difficult, then you're going to push it aside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, everything opened up when I found that, oh my gosh, I am meditating. And I was getting all of these downloads. And I was, as a child, I had always seen images in the clouds. And, I was starting to work with angelic energy, and I was seeing angels in the clouds. I'm like, this is working. It's awesome. And it was so fabulous. And then it gave me the confidence to be able to meditate in other ways and recognize the energy for what it was. It was that spiritual connection. It was just so beautiful.
Because when you take your head out of it has to be this way that didn't work for you, then it does flow. We're
Mm-hmm.
not separate from source. We are connected to it all at all times. I think when we really connect into ourself, when we embody ourself, we can also feel into our divine essence in a different way. So we're plugged in all the time. We just need to get to the space to be able to listen.
Yeah, and there's such power in that ability. I've noticed when I drive sometimes, your part of your brain is busy, right? And the
Right.
other part, I get the most amazing information. I know if I'm struggling to write, you mentioned I'm going to be in a book that you're leading, and I've got another one of my own coming out in November. And when I struggle to write, I will get in the car and drive because it clears away all of that resistance that I have. It's so powerful.
And everybody has their own ways. Like I have friends that all of their downloads and information comes to them when they're in a shower. Some it's at 3 o'clock in the morning, wakes them up because they're quiet enough to actually listen.
Hmm.
Everybody's different. And the more you practice connecting, I know this has been true for me. It sounds like it's true for you. The more you practice, the more it just happens all the time. It's not a turn off, turn on. It's a part of the way you life. It is living an everyday ceremony and living in an everyday meditation. Instead of feeling so busy, 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 busy all the time, we can actually tap in and get that inner peace flowing through us at any moment.
At any moment, yeah, and there's such a power with that. One of the biggest challenges I had was getting that center because I could receive the information, but I didn't trust it like you talked about before. So therefore, I didn't act on it because I was like that rabbit frozen in. Okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't want to do it. And there's so many missed opportunities when we're in that energy. So do you have a tip for the listeners on how to integrate that and trust it that it's the truth?
Integrate it and trust it. You have to move through it and just practice it. Honestly, you just do. It's just like when you're learning anything, when you're learning to cook, you have to trust that the recipe is right before you begin cooking, right? You have to trust that anything that comes to you, when it comes in, to me, it's almost like learning another language in some ways.
Mm.
You're getting the information and it may come to you in different ways. It may come through sound or pictures or feelings or sensations. So you're learning this beautiful love language from the divine. And that's the part that we need to trust that I think a lot of people push away. They don't trust it because it's not coming through always like communication like you and I communicate. It comes through in subtle energies. And when you start putting those puzzle pieces together and going, oh, okay, I feel that. Every time it's a yes, I feel that. Every time it's a no, I feel sick in my stomach. Those little signals, if you can pay attention to the signals, that is your inner lie detector test.
Hmm.
And even just starting with that, I think is really easy for people. Find out what your yeses and nos are. What are your warning signs? How does your body react to that? And then trust that. And then go a little deeper. Trust the information that comes through. What's my next step? That's an easy one that I talked about. But to me, that is key. I do that with all of my students and clients. Instead of trying to get all the information and all the words, just what's my next step? That could be call Carolyn,
Yep.
right? And that's all I need to know. Call Carolyn. And then from that point, it goes where it needs to go.
Yeah, that has been so powerful for me, and just building community and building connection, and sometimes just being there to support someone. Calling somebody and they really needed to hear a friendly voice. Sometimes it's not about us, and I think we forget that. It's sometimes it's how can we be of service and following that impulse. Reaching out. I reached out to somebody that I hadn't talked to in a couple of years, and we had the most beautiful conversation, and it was wonderful to reconnect from where she's journeyed to and where I have journeyed to, and then meet in a different space where we kind of had some challenges where we were both at before. So me following that nudge, next right step, recreated a beautiful relationship that's much stronger than it was before.
I love that. And it is all about relationship, whether it's relationship with self, relationships within your household, or relationships out, like you said, reconnecting with an old friend. But it's all relationship. And as you connect with somebody, you're reconnecting to pieces of yourself that need to be connected to as well. So I think, in my opinion, it's always a both and situation. So even when we're serving, we're also growing, stretching, and evolving ourselves as well. Like there's always an expansion.
Yeah, that is great. That is great. So we are approaching the time where I get to pull a card, and I think you're going to love the deck that I was guided to use for you. Do you have any final things that you want to, a tip or something that you want to give people who are just starting out and in trusting the next right step?
Yes. So I want everybody to know that you're not alone and that you're not supposed to have all the answers. None of us have all the answers. If somebody tells you they have all the answers, run. Reach out and ask questions. No question is too little or too big. Just reach out, reach out, reach out, and keep connecting with people. The more you connect with others, the more you'll connect with the divine.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. Okay, so I'm not sure if you have ever worked with any of Stephen Farmer's decks.
Yes, I've trained with him at the Gathering of the Shamans. He's lovely.
Oh my goodness, he's just one of the most amazing people that I have ever met. So I had the honor of taking a workshop with him, a short workshop with him, and I have used his animal cards for years and years and years. I just love the energy. So just going to put these up here so everybody can see the shaman's path. And let me pull a card for us. Okay, that one's mine. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the card is for the group is a higher self.
Ah, I love it.
Isn't it amazing? There's no such thing as a coincidence. I just love the way the energy all pulls together. So what I am seeing in this, and the energy that's kind of calling to me, is that there is like this energy of blue around the throat chakra for to energize us to speak. And it's an opening energy. It feels like it's flowing out, allowing us to speak our truth, to call out for those higher aspects of ourselves. And if you notice, see, everybody out there can hopefully see this too, there is a outline of energy around the person. And that's so beautiful and powerful too, because we really are never alone. We've got our soul that lives within us, and then we've got all of those energetic resonances, all those other bodies, our emotional body, our physical body, spiritual body, moral body that lives around us, that can allow us to connect at so many different levels. So perfect card for
Absolutely.
today.
Yeah, so keep connecting up and send that energy out. So it's up, in, out. That makes a beautiful cross.
It does make a beautiful cross, yeah. And with part of my journey with becoming more into ceremony and nature is connecting into Mother Earth and Father Sky, and that pillar of light that really anchors us through our own chakra line and center, and that just is so profound and beautiful, and I think encouraging for the world to remember that we are always centered, we are always here, and all we need to do is remember that.
That's right.
Good. Great. Well, Jen, thank you so much for being here. It's been lovely having this conversation with you. And I want to invite all of our listeners here to join us in the Facebook group, Spiritual Guidance for Daily Living. All of the past shows are there. This show will get posted there also. And invite friends to join us. We're a small, intimate little group right now, but the more the merrier. So join us in there. And if you have a question for Jen, post it on the video in the group, and I know that she'll get back to you. And so will I.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it has been so wonderful to be here with you all, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye now.